Welcome to our QBR Masterclass number 15, How to Enable Partner-Led Growth with JBPs, QBRs, and Ecosystem Orchestration. The Masterclass will be led by Gary Morris, the CEO and founder of Successful Channels, and James Hodgkinson, the Senior Vice President of Ecosystems at 360 Insights. Just a few quick notes before we begin. The Masterclass will run approximately 45 minutes with another 10 to 15 minutes for questions and answers. We encourage questions, so please use the Q&A function on your Zoom link to record your questions. At the conclusion of the Masterclass, you will be asked to complete a short survey. For those who complete the survey, you will get a copy of the slides used. So without any further ado, here's Gary Morris to kick off our session.
Thank you, Bob. We're happy you've joined us for the discussion of the intersection of two of the most important forces in the channel. The ecosystem movement has transformed how partnerships are developed and nurtured. Today, we're very fortunate to have industry-leading ecosystem luminary, James Hodgkinson, SVP of Ecosystems for 360 Insights, to lay out a blueprint for how to orchestrate for your brand. And the second movement is the automation of partnership sales management with workflow tools for joint partner business planning and one-click QBRs. My name is Gary Morris, CEO of Successful Channels, the world leader in providing JBP and QBR systems to drive partnership growth. Today, we'll be reviewing the latest innovation for building more successful partnerships, supported by automated planning, QBR, and ecosystem building solutions. For fans of my favorite movie, It's a Wonderful Life, James and I will make some reference to the Bailey Boys and how our ecosystem lives can be fulfilled. We'll show how happy our lives can become with well-orchestrated support ecosystem. And we'll lay out how easy and effective partner sales management can be achieved with workflow automation of joint partnership business planning and QBR tools. Achieving growth with business partners requires a careful support and enablement system to foster business success. We're going to lay out the tools, strategies, and execution of ecosystems and JBPs to build growth partnerships. Now, the inspiration for this joint QBR Masterclass are the findings we have compiled from previous Masterclasses. We have found that trust and collaboration are the two most important attributes for achieving partnership growth. Zuzu Bailey also knows how to make partnerships fly. So we asked ourselves, how can we foster stronger trust building and collaborative partnerships? We all realize how difficult it is to manage the complexity of fostering a growth relationship with a third-party business. Building trust in this environment is particularly challenging. So the definition of trust is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, and strength of someone or something. Our mission as partnership sales leaders is to build a firmness in our mutual belief in what our partnerships can achieve. That is what we are asking of our partners and ourselves, to build a trust-based relationship where we can rely on each other for our mutual success. Today, we will lay out how automation is one of the key enablers for building deep revenue-producing partnerships. Now, this chart serves as our agenda for today's QBR Masterclass for deepening our partnership friendships. And George Bailey's angel, Clarence, confirms friends are what we need to be successful. So our agenda is commitment earned trust. We'll outline how joint partnership commitments are built with targets, plans, tasks, and actions. Enablement earned trust. We'll summarize how enablement assessments, action plans, and tasks can be defined and tracked to build fully enabled business partners and brand representatives in the marketplace. Sales plan and review earn trust. We'll discuss how mutual agreement to partnership targets, development of jointly agreed upon business plans, and consistently executed MBRs and QBRs build trust. And ecosystem orchestration earn trust. We'll define how well-organized partnership ecosystem strategies will enable partner growth, client success, and innovation. Now, there's a flow for how we build deep and lasting partnerships. Commitment metrics. The first step is collaborative partnering is to define and agree on mutual targets like sales, pipeline, or certifications that your joint partnership can aim for. Business action plans and tasks. The second step in building a set of business action plans and tasks assigned to achieve the agreed upon targets. Enablement action plans and tasks. The third step is to assess a partner's capabilities and collaborate on plans to strengthen the promise of the partnership. Now, task assign, notify, remind, and personal dashboard. This is the secret to the success of partner planning systems to ensure the tasks actually get completed and targets are met. One-click QBRs, checking in on partnership progress with target achievement, goal achievement, task completion, etc., are critical to maintaining trust and belief in the joint mission. And ecosystem orchestration. This can take your partnerships to the next level of innovation, growth, and mutual profitability. So to truly achieve partnership trust, it's useful to go back to what we expect from our ecosystem partners. First, why do we partner? Generally, we look for greater reach in the market, more expertise, sales support, and technical support services. Partners give us what we may not on our own and things that our customers value. Now, how to grow partnerships? Our mission with partnerships is cultivation. This starts with the cultivation, the collaborative development of sales and prospective customers, joint overlap account planning enabled with tools like Crossbeam, which can identify the strongest opportunities for mutual growth. This is followed by collaborative demand generation to develop new leads. The result of this collaboration is a stronger trust and commitment to each other. And how do we strengthen partnerships? Partnerships with preference are built based on a very simple process. Plan your work and work your plan. Trust-based partnerships do this repeatedly, quarter after quarter. The strongest trust partnerships use automation to deliver and deepen trust. Now, here is the channel and ecosystem dilemma. The complexity of building and managing partnerships for growth requires too many tasks across too many partners. An average channel partner manager is responsible for 8 partners. Now, building a strong and consistent partnership requires an average of 48 tasks or projects per year per partner related to opportunity management, performance tracking, action planning, task management, and monthly and quarterly business reviews. Multiply that across all managed partners, and that yields nearly 370 project tasks per partner manager. What is expected of a world-class partner manager is virtually impossible set of items to complete. Partner managers can only be successful with the assistance of automation technology. So some of you may have participated in the Channel Cataclysm Masterclass we hosted last year. This is the masterclass we highlighted when channel partner managers use Excel or PowerPoint for managing partners. It is a cliff disaster or a train wreck waiting to happen. Sadly, today, channel ecosystem managers are forced to use these arcane tools and methods to manage the partnership sales process. But fortunately for all of us, there are excellent workflow automation tools to avoid the channel cataclysm and build trust-based partnerships. So we're ready for our first poll question. Now, the first poll question is, what are the elements you have implemented at your organization to achieve trust-based growth partnerships. Please select all that are applied. Excellent. Okay, well, the two top areas are sales enablement and shared end customer account planning, which makes perfect sense. So sales enablement, obviously, most partnerships, not all, but most partnerships, the primary benefit is extending sales reach. But in order to extend sales reach, you've got to enable them on sales qualification, on opportunity identification, and even to some level, sales opportunity nurturing. And then end customer account plans, like overlap accounts with customers, opportunities, and prospects. Crossbeam, Reveal, and PartnerTap are leading they're actually transforming the industry with their leading areas for growth. And then shared targets and shared action plans are obviously a key area. We're going to talk about how automated QBRs and ecosystem orchestration actually enable all of these four key areas. And so what I want to do is effective managing of your partner ecosystem boils down to three things. Plan your work, work your plan, and manage across your ecosystem. So for planning your work, you collaboratively set targets with your partners, you collaboratively build plans with your partners. That's what you complete one time at the beginning of the year. But working your plan involves building action plans and assigning tasks and having an automated notification reminder and personal dashboard system so that every task owner is delivered those tasks on a silver platter. And then to consistently execute MBRs and QBRs to keep them on track. One-click QBRs make that possible. And then managing across your ecosystem, it's great to have a performance, capabilities, and opportunities and task roll-up. So the secret weapon for building deep partnerships that yield trust and revenue is an automated task assign, notify, remind, and personal dashboard system. Trust-based partnerships are built when targets are set, plans are built, tasks are assigned, and they're actually completed. Actually, the number one reason why partner plans don't get achieved is if tasks are forgotten or not tracked or not completed. We cited earlier that the sheer volume of projects and tasks are the number one challenge for partnering. The task automation, assign, reminder systems makes this possible for building strong partnerships. So I want to turn it over to our ecosystem expert, James Hodgkinson, to share how to architect your key innovation and growth enabler.
Thank you, Gary, and it's great to be here. Just quickly introduce the company I represent, 360 Insights, which is a leader in the industry in channel technology. We work with approximately 300 brands in 4 different verticals and have really helped a lot of these companies really better orchestrate or drive behavior in their ecosystem through really the use of incentivizing that behavior. But I want to talk more today around the ecosystem orchestration opportunity and what we're really seeing at 360 and how it applies both to our own strategy and what we believe is an amazing opportunity for pretty much everybody in the industry when we think about the next generation of go-to-market. So I just want to start with a couple of definitions because there's a lot of hype flying around and the word ecosystem is now being used in lots of different ways by lots of different people. The definition we will put on the ecosystem for the purposes of this conversation is that an ecosystem is really everybody who orbits your enterprise. So if you have a major global enterprise, you have a very large ecosystem that orbits around you, but every company of every size has an ecosystem, be it your customers, your partners, etc. So the visual on the left speaks to how we would define some of the personas in the ecosystem, but it's important to understand that this is not just partners, right? There is often a channel aspect to our ecosystem, but there could be solution partners, marketplace partners, also internal stakeholders and the different roles that they play, non-transactional influencers. To really embrace ecosystem orchestration, you have to think about ecosystem as the whole, because that will help you better understand how to orchestrate as a whole. But the problem is ecosystem orchestration is very difficult. There are huge payoffs for the companies that really can do this well, and 360 is really pursuing a very ambitious ecosystem strategy, which I'll explain more today. But the challenges are really about the complexity. There's a lot of supply and demand, too many systems, too many tools, too many different user experiences. But if you can work out how, particularly through the use of technology, to better orchestrate your ecosystem, the outcomes will have a meaningful, if not transformational, impact on your business. So how should we think about some of the opportunity? And Gary touched on some of these new world companies that are appearing in the space. And as many of you will have seen, the roll up between Crossbeam and Reveal, and what's happening in sharing data between organizations. But we also have to recognize the old world failings and what isn't working so well anymore in go-to-market. So it used to be, and this has been the life we've all lived pretty much over the last decade, that there was a way to automate sales and marketing through a very predictable revenue framework where you would use Google to find a solution. You would compare, the end customer would compare information. They would do the research, and the buyer would become associated with your product and you know, either come to you directly or have that sale assisted by a partner. The new world that we're entering now is very different. It's really more about the network of trust and the ecosystem behavior that leads to an outcome like a transactional sale, because people aren't asking which salesperson they're going to speak to. They're asking, who do I trust who can help me understand the value of a product that I'm researching. And this is where relationships become key to everything, where companies that have these networks around them where trusted advisors are integrated are going to have a much bigger opportunity, I think, in the next era of go-to-market. But the challenge is, how do you put this into your business in a scalable way so that you don't end up with the situation where you have, you know, a channel or partner function working as a separate element of an organization that's more used to a direct sales model. So to embrace this ecosystem opportunity, strategic alignment is really key. So when I joined 360 Insights 2 years ago, we did a lot of work on how to align the whole organization around the ecosystem opportunity, because the future state of this, as I said, is not as an adjacent function, it's as an embedded aspect of every area of the existing business. Because if you can't get the existing revenue and sales teams to care about ecosystem, this really won't work. You have to focus on the metrics that can be influenced by an ecosystem orchestration strategy that are already important to the business. So if you can start to prove how by embedding ecosystem strategies into sales and marketing, you can improve close rates, reduce the amount of time it takes to actually get to a deal, you can increase the deal values by helping the sales teams work with and through your partner ecosystem. You're going to have a much bigger opportunity than if you try to do that in some adjacent area. And similarly, ecosystem marketing strategies, trusted networks and advocates, influencers are becoming where the buyers are turning to. So your direct content marketing may be failing, but there are, you know, huge opportunities as we see the diminishing returns in cold calls and email and LinkedIn messages to embrace an ecosystematic sales and marketing approach. But it comes with aligning your existing leaders to that strategy. And this isn't just about growth and demand generation. You know, it's one thing to say we can get new leads and new opportunities through our partners, but what about fulfillment of customer success in terms of retention and upsell opportunities? It's getting very difficult to be all things to everybody in terms of what we can do to support our clients. So by working with ecosystem partners who can help you in areas like maximization of your software, implementation, projects that you don't want to take on that may be more custom or bespoke in nature, it's very possible to embed ecosystem into customer success and improve all the metrics there too. You know, how does ARR retention look when you add an ecosystem element? How much growth do we see? And what is the satisfaction of clients who needs are better met because you have an ecosystem of partners solving for those needs, not just your company. And this has become particularly important in SaaS, where we're all subjected to this churn risk where, you know, the renewals come around very quickly. And if you haven't done a good job at maximizing the utilization of the product you just sold in the year prior, you'll be out, right? So it's a very aggressive growth metric, but it also can be a very impactful negative metric if you do not manage, you know, retention successfully. The final piece I want to highlight, because this really transposes to all areas of your business and go to market, is in product and innovation. We're now starting to see, and I'll talk about this more with what we're doing at 360, that there isn't a single company with a single product or solution that can meet the needs of an enterprise. It's about working together with others to integrate solutions and deliver them as a holistic whole, so that these things have been worked out between the providers first before expecting the customer to adopt these solutions. So this has created all kinds of new opportunities to collaborate in joint solution development, in marketplace strategies. If you can be better together by adding different technologies and tools in a way that's cohesively integrated and works for the client in a more seamless capacity, you're going to have huge advantages, because this will also lead to new revenue opportunities and go-to-market partnerships, which the better together story is going to add more value. So just around this piece of the strategic conversation of what does this do in terms of the metrics or the valuation paradigm of a company? We saw a couple of years ago that the tech industry in particular was punished heavily for growth at all cost mentality, where all we had prioritized was adding additional spend to generate additional revenue. The valuations changed, and we're now returning to what about making a profit? So we're seeing both at 360 and in the work we're doing to help our customers excel within the ecosystem orchestration game, that if you can tune the metrics of a business more towards this ecosystematic go-to-market, the metrics that are really important now around EBITDA and profitability get easier to achieve, because you're paying more on the outcomes. If you've got partners who are sourcing new revenue for you, and you've got partners who are fulfilling projects for you, only when those outcomes are achieved, it's very different than having to pay all the direct costs of go-to-market scale and customer support. So we're really showing how by changing those metrics to rely more on ecosystem-driven pipeline, ecosystem-driven retention, ecosystem-driven customer success and scale, you actually get a much more effective and agile business as a result. And when it comes to innovation, there's a lot of co-investment in that innovation too, because it's not all your cost on your roadmap or product development. If you're building an integration with another mature technology who already spent all this time on their roadmap to build a solution that complements yours, that is much more powerful for the customer to achieve an integrated approach than try to build all this technology yourself. So there are huge payoffs in this, and we're seeing that the shift of those metrics is not just about embracing, a partner strategy. It's about an ecosystem shift in your whole go-to-market across all areas of your business. So hopefully I've done a reasonable job of outlining what is a fairly complex topic in a few minutes there. But this buzz around ecosystem and the strategy of ecosystem, we want to just pause here to introduce a second poll question. And this is really to ask you, where do you see this in terms of your own journey to ecosystem? So many of you, I'm sure, are already working with partners, you have an established channel, but in terms of changing your strategy and your go-to-market in this direction, are you all in? Are you fully committed? This is what we'd like to take, a quick pulse check. So yeah, good to know that the bottom question receives 0% of the feedback now, but I'm not sure that would have been true even a year ago, because I think, like I said, a lot of the hype and the buzz and a lot of the talk around ecosystem was just confusing. But now to see that the majority of people are either exploring or making progress around a strategy of how ecosystem will impact the future state of their business is encouraging. To say, kudos to the all-in on this poll, because I think that's increasingly where many organizations are going to end up. But it's a journey, it's a process, and that transformation is still very much ongoing. I want to talk to you in the next part of this masterclass just really around more of a reality of how this is being executed within my own strategy at 360 Insights and the lessons I have learned along the way. Because we are interesting in that we've got two dynamics on our ecosystem orchestration challenge. We're trying to build a go-to-market strategy to scale 360 Insights through our ecosystem of partners, but we're also solving this problem on behalf of our clients, because we provide the technology through the consolidation of different platforms that will enable them to do the same. And as I mentioned in the first part of my presentation, this is not easy work, and I want to just double click on this for a second to explain why. If you're in a large organization, but any size of organization, there's a lot of variables. You have to operate in different markets, different languages, different business models, different partner types, different products. There's also too much technology now. We all use many, many different applications. So if you're looking at how to use your tech stack to actually meet the needs of your ecosystem members, it's not trivial to work out how does it all intersect. You've got a CRM system, a learning management system, a partner portal, a content management system, a business planning tool, a partner marketplace tool. There's hundreds. And in fact, the reality is every organization is using hundreds of pieces of technology. And the integration between them traditionally has been very weak. And as organizations like partnership leaders have pointed out, there is no maturity here, right? There's no category leader who's tied all this together. So whilst I think everybody's recognizing the huge opportunity to achieve ecosystem outcomes, the reality of execution is very hard and complex. So reversing back a couple of years to, where we started working on our strategy, we saw that this was going to take a multi-year approach. That began in 2022, where we had the foundational work to try to build out the scale that we were going to need in the future. We need the next slide here. And that wasn't, going to be done overnight. We recognized that if we were going to create a scaled ecosystem that delivered for the needs of our clients, we were going to have to find the correct partners, prioritize the relationships that were really key to us as an organization. We were going to have to build our own tool set to support those partners and our internal sellers and our internal stakeholders and customers all in one environment. We were going to have to create an enablement strategy, and our tech roadmap was going to have to be able to keep up with all of this. So we realized that a multi-year journey was necessary and that we had to be cognizant that whilst there'd be some wins along the way, this was going to take foundational work first to achieve what was needed. And what was very, very important in the early stages of this was also executive alignment, having a leadership team and a board even that was bought into this being important in our strategy, not a flash in the pan where we were trying to generate overnight revenue through partners. So, I've expanded on this strategy in more detail in other talk tracks, but just to give you a sense of my life over the past 2 years and what will continue into the next 2, it's a long journey that has to be done in a very deep and integrated way. The other viewpoint we took on the ecosystem orchestration problem is that we had to create some definitions of the technologies, solutions, and services that were needed, because the industry also lacks these definitions. So we have talked already about different types of software on this call: business planning tools, account mapping tools, CRM tools, partner portals. But how do you think about that landscape as one whole thing? So the visual on the slide here, without going too much into the granular elements, was our attempt to do this, where we could say, if we are going to excel in ecosystem orchestration, we have to think about all of these things. How are we going to enable partners through learning management? How are we going to automate sales pipeline generation with partners? How are we going to manage partner demand generation through marketing and drive incentives through payments, rewards? All of that has to be thought about in every organization. It's just to what level of complexity. But this was also our roadmap for partner recruitment, because if we were trying to solve these problems, so is everybody else. So who could we turn to who provided capabilities in these areas, who were best of breed and specialist in their category, that we could, integrate their solutions into our tech stack? So once we'd identified that North Star of we're going to go do this, we then have to make the necessary investments in the relationships that would get that strategy done. So around about a year ago, once the strategy was finalized, once we had the executive buy-in, once the internal teams were all aligned, we did a series of human things. We had a offsite towards the end of last year at our new head office in New Orleans to bring together different ecosystem members and really validate this. We formed a partner advisory community to help us put this together. We activated our partners 6 months ahead of our public launch so that we could really get everybody embedded into this and really develop, these foundations for scale. One of the things that was really critical for us was the feedback we got through that process. And this is just a snapshot of some of the LinkedIn posts that we had after we hosted all these people, as I mentioned, at our head offices. Because without this validation, without understanding that there is energy and investment in your ecosystem, it would be extremely difficult, to really get the people to pay attention. So it's one thing to turn on technologies that automate things, but if you do not have the human investment in using those technologies, they will not be adopted. So I think we can, lose sight sometimes of the fact that we have to be really adding value in relationships in the traditional sense, not just providing tools and technologies to people and expect them to use them. And the lessons learned were vital. We heard loud and clear from all of these stakeholders that they agreed with us that ecosystems have the potential to transform their go-to-market, but it's not an easy thing to do. And what were the key issues that they were facing? And we asked very specific questions around what are the most important gaps. And it's interesting to be collaborating in this session where, we hear that one of the top 5 things that was highlighted was a lack of automation in business planning and the ability to manage structured processes with partners to keep, things to task. So, there is definitely a need for systems and tools to play a role in helping with the processes and scale of an ecosystem, but it has to be embedded with that human element. One of the things that we've just come through in our launch, we publicly launched our ecosystem in May. You can find more information at ecosystem.360insights.com, but we used best of breed solutions to help us. We onboarded into our marketplace using a great technology called PartnerFleet. We've worked with Reveal, who are now part of Crossbeam, as most of you probably know, to build account mapping into our onboarding processes. And now we're working with Structured Web to launch through partner marketing and Successful Channels to do scorecards. So what we've really done here is practice what we preach, that these technologies are going to have to work together, but we've done it in a way where everything is integrated into the 360 Insights Engage portal platform so that it is seamless. So the partner onboarding is activating and using all of these tools as if they're working as one. And the truth is, when it comes to integrated ecosystem technologies, 1 + 1 can't equal 3 or 4. It needs to equal 1, because for the end user, they can't be logging into 10 different places, learning all these different types of systems. You have to bring it to them, organize that supply and demand that says, when you have an influencer partner who logs in this region, you need to give them the 7 things that are exactly right in the context of their role in your ecosystem and what they're trying to achieve with your business. Not too many tools, too many systems, too much friction. And when it comes to very large enterprises, this is really hard, and it's often done very poorly. Log into most of the global partner portals today, and you'll see what I mean. And I think most of us with experience of the legacy PRM world understand that very few people are happy with how those ecosystem technology stacks work today. So I'll just give a little bit of exposure to the great partners that we've worked with to this point. And I also want to highlight this is not just tech capabilities. This is innovation and expert services, working with consultants and software implementation partners who can help design products that will assist our customers in achieving their business outcomes. For too long, technology in this category has been sold at the feature function level, where people are saying, here's a checklist of all the capabilities I need. We need to change the conversation in ecosystem orchestration to business outcomes that can be achieved through the effective use of technology. And in that regard, the technologies that we're bringing together, including Successful Channels, are critical to the success of our clients, because without these best-in-class technologies to support their business, they're not going to succeed in effective ecosystem orchestration. So whilst everybody has a different ecosystem, a different product, a different value proposition, the principles of that are the same regardless. So what I want to just finish on is a second poll, or a third poll for the overall webinar, which is really about some of what I've just talked through. What do you see? We'd love your feedback on what you believe is most important. I had my views on that when I started to build the strategy, and not everything is equal, and you have limited bandwidth, limited resources. So when you're starting out, on your journey, or you're trying to evolve from a traditional channel model to an ecosystem-led go-to-market, what do you see as the most important things here? So actually, the top 3 are very encouraging and important. And it's interesting to see that they have been put above tech maturity and API readiness. And I agree with that perspective. When I started talking to a lot of our partners, very often the first thing they want to rush to is, how do we integrate through our API, and, let's get a reseller agreement signed. The truth is, those are steps much further normally down the process of go-to-market and even product marketing, because you have to create the value proposition, you have to have the support from the teams, the sellers have to care. And I would say, even though, there's different perspectives on where to start, upfront executive support is critical. And that's what I think has been a challenge for many of us in the industry who didn't have that when, we had the shakeout in the industry and partner teams, and the value of partner teams was heavily questioned. The truth is, this should be the most important part of a go-to-market strategy right now, but you're only going to achieve that support and that investment of resources if you have that executive alignment. So really interesting, and we continue to learn from this kind of feedback.
Okay, that's clear, Paul.
All right. Well, listen, I think we're all very honored to have James here and have his insights on ecosystems. And we're equally excited to announce the launch of a new ecosystem life stage scorecard assessment tool that you have access to. This is a simple questionnaire. It's like a checklist to help you determine where your channel stands with building your best practice ecosystem enablement strategy. You can access this ecosystem scorecard directly on the Successful Channels website by clicking on Ecosystem Scorecard link. You'll be asked to provide your first, last email, company, and title to get access to this one-of-a-kind blueprint. You'll receive a confirmation email with your ecosystem scorecard access credentials to allow you to update your ecosystem strategy at any time. You'll get a 1 to 100 score and a similar score for each aspect of your ecosystem strategy, including categories like sales automation, marketing automation, ecosystem automation. You'll be able to complete an assessment in all 8 critical ecosystem orchestration areas in just a few minutes. You'll be provided with a stoplight indicator for all aspects of your ecosystem strategy and get a 1 to 100 score for each. Following that, you can build your own custom ecosystem improvement action plan or to build a stronger ecosystem strategy. You can export your scorecard directly to Excel for reference purposes. You'll then be able to build an action plan for each aspect of your ecosystem strategy. Now, here's a workflow of how to build a high-performance ecosystem partnership growth strategy. It's broken down into 2 key sections that we referred to earlier. Plan your work, which is the first 3 steps. That's where you define your partner's needs, priorities, and goals. You define your targets for each partner. You assess your partner's capabilities to succeed, and then define an action plan to achieve your partnership targets. And the second part is working your plan, which are the final 2 steps. That's where you assign tasks. This includes assigning tasks to owners, delivering task notifications, reminders, and personal dashboard to track tasks and acceptance directly with task owners in the task owner's inbox. And then execute MBRs and QBRs, monthly and quarterly business reviews. Review your partner performance dashboard, task assignment, and task completion status. Now, we have found that if targets are set, actions are defined, tasks are assigned, and MBRs and QBRs are executed, partnerships exceed their goals. All right, we've got our 4th poll. We'd like to know, what are the key priorities for your partnership ecosystem enablement strategy? So please select all that apply. Excellent. Okay. So it looks like the top 2 are ecosystem management and learning management. It sounds like that's consistent with this whole enablement focus that we've done. And then it's also consistent with the messaging that we've heard about the complexity of managing these partnerships, is to use enablement technology or automation technology to streamline the way partnerships are managed. The second is obviously sales automation, because sales is typically the #1 goal of partnerships. And then operations and JBPs and QBRs are also key areas. All of these are important, and they're important at different times. But I think we're all sort of struggling with the same thing, which is, how do we enable these partnerships to succeed and then ultimately to drive more sales? Okay, let's end the poll. Okay, so based on where we are, the good news is there's a lot of enthusiasm behind ecosystem orchestration. Here's a way to get started building your ecosystem and partnership sales cultivation strategy. You can go to the highlighted URL, go right to the Successful Channels website to build your own ecosystem success blueprint for your organization. You'll be required to answer 5 simple questions in a form to create your account. Then you'll be directed to an easy to complete 3-minute questionnaire to assess your organization's ecosystem strategy. This is similar to a to-do list of items to consider for building your ecosystem and your partnership strategy. It's perfectly okay if you don't check all of them. You can't get them all done. You select those that are your top priority, you work on those, and you come back and work on the others. And James and I can also help lead you through this process with some free advisory sessions to build your ecosystem and partnership sales cultivation process. So James, that was a lot of fun going through how to build a wonderful ecosystem for your brand. Let's pause and take some audience questions. Bob, what questions and discussion points have come across during today's session?
Right. Let's start. This one goes to you, James. You make a lot of reference to an ecosystem strategy. How is this different from a channel strategy?
Yeah, contentious question of which many people have ruminated it on. I mean, for me, it goes back to the first slide I shared around definition of ecosystem. I think once you broaden ecosystem to really think about all the stakeholders, internal and external, you start to realize that the channel, particularly if you're defining channel as more the traditional transactional channel, is part of the ecosystem, but it's not the same as the ecosystem. And I would even, as the entire ecosystem, and I would even argue that some companies don't even have a channel, particularly some new world companies that haven't done any kind of 2-tier selling or indirect fulfillment of resale. So you will always have an ecosystem, but you don't necessarily have a channel. And what we struggle with sometimes in the sort of battle that seems to go on in the definitions and the different types of roles in the industry is what's a chief partner officer versus a channel chief. Honestly, who cares at this point? We need to really march towards effective go-to-market that leverages the entire ecosystem with integrated cross-functional teams working together to achieve it. So I think an ecosystem function strategically is becoming increasingly important in a business. But if channel is or isn't a part of it is a different element, I think.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, James. Gary, realistically, how long would it take to implement a program like this?
Well, it's part of implementing a program is joint business planning and QBRs is a direct reflection of your partner program. So a lot of the times, it's kind of what comes first, the chicken or the egg, your business plan and your QBR or your program. And so part of this, typically it's 30 days, best practices and technology are brought together to help a channel ecosystem sales leader to architect their partner selling engagement process, their joint business planning, and their QBR process in about 30 days.
Okay, great. Well, James.
Maybe I just also...
For you as well, too.
Yeah, sorry, I just in case you didn't come to me, but I was thinking in the expanded framework of all ecosystem orchestration, nobody's starting from nothing, right? Because if you have a business that's already working today, particularly a larger organization, a lot of this is already in the ether, right? You're going to have a CRM, you're going to have a learning management platform, an HR platform. These tools already exist. The key opportunity is the organized orchestration of a lot of this from a tech perspective to your business strategy and the outcomes you're trying to achieve. So we've put together this ecosystem, if you like, of integrated solutions and services to help our customers achieve it. But we also find a lot of this is how to make the best of what's already out there running. And like most things in life, you have to sort of evolve in real time and keep the plane flying whilst you're evolving, in the strategy. Nobody's going to say stop the business for 2 years. So I think in terms of execution, it's an immediate and forever thing, but you have to start with a plan. And that's why I think, as Gary's coaching here, assessing the situation first, building a blueprint for success, involving the correct, expert service partners or whatever it is to help you get there is really, really key. Because if you just rush, particularly to technology and functional outcomes, that's why I think we see so much challenge with satisfaction and adoption of tools, because people rush to the tools before they put that kind of planning work up front. But even that planning work can be done relatively quickly if you focus.
Great. Okay, the last question we have is, how is ecosystem orchestration different to app exchanges currently around on DXPs?
It's a great question. I'm happy to take that one, Gary, if that works.
Yeah, please.
The key is the orchestration, right? So, and almost a productized ability to do that. So if you look at something like an app exchange, and I'll take the example of Salesforce, which is an amazing company that grew tremendously in the CRM era and is now one of the largest companies in the world, having begun as, you know, an upstart that people put on credit cards. They developed an incredible ecosystem by letting many companies build services and solutions around Salesforce, build software around, you know, technology that complements Salesforce, that, you know, acquired companies that built, you know, different technologies that integrated with Salesforce, that built dashboards, you know, with the big acquisitions of MuleSoft and Tableau and so forth. But the scale of that has created a complexity and a lack of orchestration as well. So whilst there's $6 or $7 being made on Salesforce for every dollar of software that Salesforce sells, for an end client to put all that together and to work out how that jigsaw really is going to deliver on their outcomes is quite difficult, right? It's not being organized in a way that's truly orchestrated. So when you look at sort of a DXP, which for those who don't know is a digital experience technology, there's a lot of people who are trying to build a portal on Salesforce, integrate different systems, you know, home create tools to manage task management. How many of those are really successful at this point? So Salesforce is an amazing company, amazing CRM technology, has lots of different providers, lots of different apps, but it does not really provide an orchestrated answer to what we've been talking about today. I think there needs to be a lot more work done between organizations to pre-connect their solutions, to design them into workflows that impact business outcomes, to build expert services that help customers take advantage of those technologies. So that level of orchestration doesn't exist today, and that's really what 360 Insights and our ecosystem of partners are working on night and day to solve for the industry.
And James, just one additional thought on that is, you know, I would view things like AWS, you know, as a good example of these, you know, these marketplaces as a place to transact, because the transaction is already done. I mean, we've already talked about the possibility of doing ecosystem orchestration purchases through AWS and being able to use them as a kind of a transactional system where we can access and acquire ecosystem planning and QBR tools through those, because that streamlines, you said, reduces friction for many enterprises to access a lot of ecosystem resources.
Mm-hmm. Well, that should do it. Thank you so much for the questions, and thank you for attending. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we did in presenting it. You'll note we'll have at the end, as I said, a survey. If you take the time to fill that survey out, you'll be able to get a copy of our slides for your use later on. So with that, I'll say good afternoon, and thank you very much.